Greetings, one and all, and welcome to peakdnd Campaign 3. We are starting off with a bang here for Campaign 3, and welcome to the Peak. I am taking over as the Dungeon Master. I am Ben, and these are our players. We have Max, Will, and Tony, and we will be finding out a little bit more about what they're going to do in Campaign 3 and who their characters are. So we're starting in an original world, and before we get too far into it, we have to interrupt to stop and talk about this.
Good evening, RPG fans. You've seen a lot of great action here at peakdnd tonight. I'm Dip Dugan, your post-gameplay reporter / adventurer, and we are really looking forward to speaking with the boys from peakdnd. With us tonight on the sidelines, we've got Tony, looking pretty good in his +1 charisma shirt from Into the AM. Tony, how do you do it, boy wizard?
It was all because of that Into the AM +1 charisma for the shirt that I'm wearing. Also, breathes really nice too.
Breathes really nice, superior quality and design. That's Into the AM, where you can use code peakdnd for 10% off your first order for unique t-shirts and designs from all over their website. You should check it out for sure. Your drip is Riz. I think I used that right. Drippy Riz.
That's what the
kids say. I don't think that's how you use that phrase. Let's try it again.
No, that's how I'm gonna.
No, it was hilarious.
Into the AM, thanks for sponsoring this video, and thanks for being a friend of the channel. Check out the shirt that Will is wearing today. We're going to be rotating through some of the shirts they sent us. Super excited about it. However it ends up working, I don't know. All right, so we are introducing a new world and a new system to our campaign and our gameplay videos here. A lot of new stuff going on. We will get it wrong, so please make sure to let us know in the comments how bad we fuck it up. And we are going to introduce, first of all, the system we'll be using. So our good friend Alan over at the Dungeon Coach, you can check out that down in the description below. There's a link down there. Also, we are using his new system that is currently in alpha, so there's a lot of information yet to come out. There'll be a whole bunch of Kickstarters coming up this year that we will be letting you know about that. But you can also check it out at thedungeoncoach.com. But this is DC20, a new role-playing system developed by Alan and his team over at the Dungeon Coach. It's really fun. It is everything you love about Dungeons and Dragons, and a lot of new stuff as well, TTRPG style. So check it out. You can get a copy of the alpha currently. This will come out in January, so I assume it'll still be alpha 0.5. It might be a little different. For a few bucks, you can pick it up. And there's a link as well if you want to get to that. And it helps us out if you do that as well. So, take a look if you want. We're going to be playing some DC20 in a new world that we've sort of developed as a team. It's called Argilia, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. Welcome to Argilia, a world of constant change and untold adventure. Legend says that Argilia was made by the 20 children of the ether gods, each a powerful being that chose to walk the realm alongside mortals, overseeing the growth and development of their collective creations. But, like most siblings, these 20 gods were subject to petty jealousies, and eventually took to fighting amongst themselves, and the realm of Argilia was embroiled in a cosmic conflict that shook the very world, known as the God War, ending only by the intervention of 5 brave demigods known as the Vortorim. This last God War ended 2,000 years ago. But that's all legend, lost to the annals of history at this point. Now we are in the age of the Vortorian Empire, a bold new empire that has come onto the scene, the world of Argilia, and has made its presence known through the Church of Vortor, the one true god that rules over the land of Argilia. The Vortorian Church has spread throughout the central continent into this empire, and this is where we will start our tale. The elves have long since disappeared off of this central continent, and they have not been seen for about 2,000 years. But currently, what has happened is the elves have returned. An envoy from the lands of Inara, the elven homeland, has made it across the ocean and come to the Vortorian Empire to accompany a great herald of a new time for the elves and reestablish contact with the main continent. This elvish envoy has come to the land of Zarian and the city of Jorva, their main port town in the city of in the area of Zarian in the Empire. So, these elves have called for the best and brightest from the Vortorian Empire to accompany them across the ocean on a grand journey to see the coronation of the new elven oracle. This only happens once in an elvish lifetime, and that is a very, very long time. So, this new and exciting time for the Empire and those who live in it, having heard only tales of elves exist. The ships depart from the city of Jorva to journey across the ocean back to the lands of Inara, and perhaps we will see some familiar faces on those ships once they depart. Let's start with our characters. Shall we roll to see who goes first? 1, 2, 3. We roll 4
to see.
Max, you're up.
Roll 4 to see.
Yes.
What am I doing?
You are introducing your character.
Oh, cool. Hey, I'm Julius. I grew up in the church. I've got a big, loving, awesome family. And I'm really excited to be here and go explore Elfland. Mom and Dad were pretty excited. And Mom gave me an interesting gift before I left. And that book blew my fragile little mind.
Yes, having only studied the religious texts of the 5 scrolls of the Church of Vortor for a long time, he was exposed to a special book that his mother had from her previous life in maybe a smaller sect of the church.
Mom got secrets.
Yeah, Mom got secrets.
You can check it out on Session 0.
Yes, check out the Session 0 if you haven't yet, and you'll hear a little bit more about Julius and his family, and how he came to be in the city of Jorva at this point. That's a 3 again. Max, reintroduce your character.
Hi, my name is Julius.
There it is. Tony, you're up. I rolled 3 3s in a row. It's crazy.
So
Keep
you
going.
didn't roll a 4, which would have been you. So
My character is...
hi, my name's Tony, and my character is Ravi Atmar. He comes from a very, very wealthy family, and he's also shown a lot of prodigy when it comes to the arcane arts and to magic. So he's in the Citadel.
Citadel Arcanum.
Citadel Arcana, however you want to
Yes,
say it.
that's fine. That's all good.
But I'm very young. I'm like I'm the youngest, or one of the youngest people there.
One of the youngest people to matriculate through the Citadel
Through
at
the
this
Citadel.
time.
Yeah, but I have a wealthy family. They are very well connected inside of Jovar, right?
Jorva.
Inside Jorva, almost to a overwhelming level for me. I kind of want to make a name for myself, but there's like on the Citadel Arcana, my dad kind of has like he went there, so he has like libraries named after him, and the shadow of my family kind of looms over me. And I don't mind it, and I'm really proud of my family, but I kind of want to make a name for myself. And then in my off time, I'm also a pretty solid star on the fencing team at Citadel Arcana. And I got chosen to go Ravens. I am the youngest and the brightest of the Citadel at the time, so they've chosen me to go along with the envoy.
Right. Your father maybe or maybe not pulled some strings, but you are also sort of the greatest human wizard that this continent has seen. At least you show a lot of promise. Yeah, you're still young in your career, but they expect great things from you based on who your family is, but also your demonstrable skills as a young aspiring wizard. And that leaves, of course, our good friend Will, and newcomer to peakd&d. Welcome him, folks, if you haven't seen him. Will, tell us about your character.
Yeah, good job, Will.
I'm so excited to be here. My name is Will. I'll be playing Orrin Orrinson, a human fighter. I was raised in the port trade town of Larian, part of Para, the resource-rich breadbasket of Vortor. It was a pretty simple life. I would help my parents out with their apothecary. We didn't make much money. I spent a lot of my time working for the apothecary for my parents. A lot of my time was spent with the blacksmith, where I was building and putting together little religious trinkets to sell at the apothecary. That's also where I started to learn how to swing a sword with the blacksmith. Blacksmith, kind of a father figure. My dad, also a father figure. Not too much going on, but so I had to join the city guard to kind of grow up and figure life out. Things were good at the beginning.
Get a job, Orrin.
Yeah, get a job, yeah. I still help out at the apothecary when I can, but a lot of my time is taken up with the city guard. Things started well, but things haven't been so good recently, and I might have gotten in trouble, or am about to get in trouble, when a letter came across my person while I was on duty. I intercepted a letter that was not meant for me, and I don't know how much I should divulge there. What else should I say?
Well, we can tell the folks at home. So Orrin was, this letter was basically an invitation from Ravi's father, who knew the captain of the guard where you were stationed in Larian, and was asking for basically a bodyguard for his son. Says, send me your best captain, your best sergeant, whoever you have, someone to keep my son safe as he makes this cross the ocean journey. And you knew that you were not probably going to be that person, but this letter also included passage onto the ship. And you decided for yourself to skedaddle and say, hey, I'm the guy your the captain sent. And that was sort of your ticket out of town, and it seemed like a pretty good one to take, given, well, maybe we'll delve into those circumstances, but you had good reason to get out of town at that point.
Yeah, probably biggest mistake I've made today.
Probably, yeah.
Not to date, but today.
Yes,
today.
yes.
Okay.
Cool. And yeah, I got out of Dodge quick. I grabbed a sword from the blacksmith. I grabbed a senior city guard uniform to go over my armor, because that's what it would take to gain passage on this ship. And I
But you forgot
left
to
as
say bye to mom.
I did not say bye to mom, and I am
Orrin
already
has-
potentially regretting this decision. We'll see.
He set off on the
Dude.
next bus to Jorva.
It
Cool.
was that, or things weren't looking so good.
Midnight
So,
bus to Georgia.
On the midnight
midnight
bus to Georgia.
Jorva.
Jorva. Midnight train to Jorva. Oh, man. We got to have trains now. I love it. Love it. Cool. Well, these are our three characters. They all, for various reasons, have been chosen or now have passage onto this envoy to the Elven continent. There were, as to not seem, like an invading force, they only sent one elvish ship. So there are a lot of familiar, humanoid ships of the type of architecture that you're used to seeing that are going to set out. Probably a dozen or so ships are leaving a convoy on the sea. I knew it, and you'll have to remember every single one and what they have. If there's something buried in the dirt, please don't dig it up.
I'm not a druid this time.
Don't turn into a badger and dig into a vampire's magic dirt pile, okay? Friends at home? Great. So you have, at for various reasons, all decided to join this envoy to go across the sea to the Elven continent, the lands of Inara, as they are known. And this is not a normal occurrence. This doesn't happen every day. People don't just... there is, for some reason, any voyage that has set out to go to the Elven continent has never come back, never to be heard of again. These elves somehow made it across, and say that they have safe passage and they can get all of your ships back to the Elven continent to witness the coronation of the new Elven Oracle, which is, again, kind of their political leader and the head of their body politic and everything else like that. It's also a bit of a religious leader as well. They sort of have similar to the Empire, has the Emperor and the Church of Vortor, who is the Emperor is ordained by Vortor himself to be the Emperor and all of that. So it's a little bit of a theocracy. The elves have a similar thing, but it seems a little more wishy-washy, a little more elvy, right? So you are in the city of Jorva, which is a bustling coastal town full of trade, and there's all kinds of merchants and exotic foods from all across the continent, many of which come from Para, Orrin's homeland, as far as like the staples, grains and rice and food and the potatoes and all the things that make, for the staples of everyone's diet across the way, but also fruits. And they get some things from there's a coastal region of islands outside of the main continent that sometimes you'll see some people from outside, but you see races of all shapes and colors and sizes here, except for elves. Elves are not terribly common in this land. In fact, they haven't been heard from in quite some time. Half elves do exist, people of elven blood. They are rare, but they do exist, but they oftentimes aren't. They're viewed from at arm's length. They're not always accepted, and some people hide the fact that they have elven lineage of some kind. But again, it's sort of a thing of myth. It's just like that person happens to be very good at something, and whatever. They just they don't play up the fact that they are from an elven house or things like that. But sometimes they do. And maybe we'll hear a little bit more about that from Ravi at some point. So you are here in Jorva. There's a dock, there's a check-in station. You all have to go to, present your passage onto the ship. Then you'll be then assigned aboard one of the ships, and you can explore the city a little bit. Now you're from this city, right? The Citadel Arcanum is here in Jorva.
Yeah, so I live on campus.
So you live here. That's where your family's estate is. Your dad goes to the capital a lot, Zarian City, which is about a few days' ride from here.
Yep.
So there are a lot of things to do here in town. We're not going to do a whole. You can tell me if you want to do anything while you're in town. You have been in a remote section of where your family was assigned, so you haven't been to a big city in a while. And you're sort of on an outskirts sort of town too, like a border village that's used for trade and things like that. But I should probably say your names as well, or your characters' names. Orrin has not been to a big city, I don't think.
No.
Either. So this is a pretty bustling port town. So it's a little bit maybe beyond your comfort zone. But there are a lot of things you can do in the next. You have 3 days essentially. You do have to check in. You have to find a place to stay, and you have to maybe find out about the other people on your ship, or where everyone's congregating. Seems to be down in the port area of town, which has a bunch of taverns and inns and various places like that. It's sort of you guys, when you walk into the port town, you find a rather big to-do, because this is a big deal. This has not happened before. Jorva is sort of on, it's on the coast, and there's a nice big bay, so you can see like one side of the city from the other. And there's docks that spur out from all over the bay, and you see out in the middle there's a bunch of like rock pillars out in the middle of the bay that sort of serve as a secondary dock city. There's a like a wooden port city, and there you see like little tiny ferries bringing goods back and forth. And then anchored off on its own on the south side of that little dock city is a ship like you've never seen before. It has giant green sails, almost look like leaves, giant leaves themselves. There are strange wooden appendages or fins that sort of come off of it. That makes it look kind of nautilin. It looks aquatic in nature. It looks unlike a ship. It looks more like a fish or a creature of the sea, and very natural organic shapes. And it's gilded with beautiful gold railings and all these kinds of things. You've never really, and these sails are furled up a little bit, but you can tell they look like just giant leaves on it. And you see a lot of people on the shore, on the docks, like sort of pointing out to where it is. There's all kinds of like festivities going on around the port city. And people are just generally kind of really excited to try to get a glimpse of these elves. So people are, selling, like, I was here when the elves came, like t-shirts, souvenirs and stuff. But that is sort of the scene in which we arrive to. So what are your characters doing? You have a couple of things you need to do, but you have essentially 3 days to figure out where you're going, what you're doing before the ships depart.
Do you want to roll to see who goes first? Do you
No,
want
you
us to
can
just
tell me
step
what you
in
wanna do.
and go.
Who wants to go first?
Did I arrive alone on like a donkey by myself riding into?
That's up to you,
Jorva?
Holmes. You can.
Yes.
Who would? You probably had.
Because I came with like a delegation from the church, supposedly. So are there people I'm supposed to meet in Jorva from the church, or was I just told to?
Have fun. Bye.
Yeah, right.
Yes. So you left with. So delegation from Ecclesiarch Morton is here. Obviously, they've sent a delegation from the church.
Okay.
To Jorva to sort of see those that are going on the journey off. So he was a couple days ahead of you. You had a day or two to get your stuff together, but you need to check in with him probably at the Temple of Vortor in Jorva.
Okay.
Is where they will probably be staying.
Well, then I will probably go there.
Okay. So Max is heading off to the temple to see, to bow to the Pope or whatever he does. And all right. So you're heading off to the temple. Anybody else? Where are you guys going? You're finding a hotel. You live there, right? So you're probably.
Yeah, so I guess I'm just kind of thinking
with the nobility.
My father kind of alluded to the fact that I'm going to have someone accompany me. So I guess I'm just kind of probably waiting to hear word until that person gets to town and whatnot. Because we have like 3 days to check in, right?
Yeah. So you have 3 days to register to check in with the.
I'd probably do that on the third day.
Okay. Wait until the last minute, turn it in.
Yeah.
Okay, here you go. I'm ready to go.
Because I live here, so I'm familiar with the city.
Sure.
I'm familiar with where to go.
Yeah.
So
everybody kind of knows that
I'm more
you're
waiting for
going, at least,
I guess my escort, so then we can check in together at
Fair.
that point.
Great. Well, that's a great segue into Will. So in the letter also, it said, basically where this manor was, where Ravi's father's house is. Your last name is, again? Otmar, where the Otmar Manor is. So you do have a destination in mind that you need to try to, at some point, figure out how you're going to get in on this boat with this kid.
Sure.
That is supposed to be.
I don't immediately think of the letter as much. I think I'm a bundle of nerves jumping off the back of this caravan that I hitched a ride on. Official business. Let me jump on this caravan to Jorva. And then I've never been far outside of Larian. And so I am just tourist montage for a little bit. I want to see the sights.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I want to see the sights. This is all too much.
Culture shock.
Yeah, culture shock. I would definitely be distracted by the ship at the dock. Seeing ships come in and out is a lot of fun for me. There is other people's adventures that I get to have in my head. And so seeing this elven ship, I'd be distracted for that for a little bit.
Okay.
I don't have any money. I didn't really think this through. I might try to.
You're supposed to meet a very rich person, so.
Is that what does it say? Is this a paid gig in the letter?
It's mentioned that it's sort of a personal favor to to his dad, who you assume is a very rich, like, you know, he's connected within Jorva at least. And if he knows somebody all the way out in Larian, like this guy probably had
He's got
some
money.
serious, yeah. But like your captain probably wasn't going to pay anybody to go, but it was like more calling
Just
it
like
a favor
him.
to somebody
Yeah.
that he knows,
It
right?
figures. Yeah.
Yeah. He might have given you some money, you know, if you were the one that was picked. He might have been like, here you go, it's 25 gold. And,
Yeah.
you know.
But the
for-
captain
for
and I
DM.
aren't seeing eye to eye
Yeah, you get
on
your per
things.
diem to go do
Yeah.
this, but
Right.
you just grabbed the letter and left.
Yeah.
So whatever you had in your pockets is what you have.
Yeah. I'm going to assume that I can stay at the manor tonight. So I might start making my way over there.
Okay, great.
If not, if it was clear that wasn't the case, then I'm gonna see if I can lend a hand for some coin at the docks. I'm kind of accustomed to that with loading and unloading of boxes onto ships.
Sure. Okay. Do you want to do that as a backup, or do you want to like
That's my
make
backup.
some money now? Okay,
That's
you're going to
a
go check
backup.
in first.
I hope I get away with this. I'm not feeling so good. Like,
All right.
As I'm like walking toward the manor.
Right. So it's at the sort of the top of this hill. You know, there's a slow descent down Jorva towards the waterfront. And this you assume this you know, sort of tall, kind of green and stone looking moss covered manor has a very commanding view of the whole port. That one's got to be it. That's the address that you were given, and it is much bigger than any of the surrounding houses. This is obviously where the elite of the elite live in Jorva, and so it's you make your way up, and you knock on the door. What do
Yeah,
you do?
before I knock on the door, I'd probably like look and just like, oh God, like there's like crap on my like cloak, you know, like my uniform. Like I'd look in the window and just like make sure I look
Get the
presentable.
eyebrows.
Yeah. And
Your hairs.
like, oh God, here we go. Like,
All right,
and then I'm like gonna like stand up straight and
fair.
act the part.
All right.
The part.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah. So the door opens, and before you stands a short halfling woman. She has kind of dark brown hair, and she sort of looks up at you and then gives you the once over.
Orrin Orrinson, sir, at your service.
I'm a lady, but thank you so much. You don't have to call me sir. I'm just the housekeeper, dear. But please come in. You're here for.
I present the letter.
Okay. Great. You're delightful. I
I do say that out loud.
okay. And she takes a look at this letter and she goes, "Great. This is oh, you're the soldier that
I'm accompanying the wizard boy.
yes, you are. I wouldn't recommend calling him that, honey.
Or the young wizard.
Yes. His name's Ravi. And I'll get him for you. Please come in to the parlor here." So she shows you in, and it is immaculate, immaculately decorated, and just, you know, pieces of art, the likes of which you've never seen, and just like marble tile, that grand staircase that goes up, you know, a large ballroom and dining room off to the north wing, and you hear this little, you know, this woman shuffles off and she goes, Master Ravi, your bodyguard is here. Your I don't know if you'd say not a bodyguard.
bodyguard.
Your escort.
Your
Yeah, I don't
escort.
know.
Ooh.
Just saucy.
Yeah.
Not like that. Not like that.
Escort.
Yeah,
My
your-
hazing days were over.
Yeah. Hey,
no, your babysitter's here.
your
Right.
paid companion is here.
For sure. So, and then you are. What are you
where's-
doing right now, Ravi? You're at home.
I would say so. I remembered that I did ask my father about our family library
Mhm.
to do some research on anything about elves that we have, which I know is very minimal probably, and then anything on psionics that we might have.
Oh, right. Yeah. So your father has let you into the library that
Yeah.
is in the cellar. So
Yeah.
there's like, you know, the standard, like you have a big library in the north wing or the south wing
Yeah.
or whatever. And, you know, like more academic type books, the standard religious texts, copies of those things.
Yeah. Coffee table
Probably
book.
first editions, like that kind of stuff. And yeah, coffee table books. But there's down in the cellar, he takes you at some point in the past week, he's taken you down, shown you there's a secret entrance into what is sort of just a cavern, as you have a constructed cellar, but there's a secret door that he pushes aside another old musty bookcase and says, this is my private collection. And he sort of gives you permission to sort of read about that. So you've been down there probably a few days at this point.
No, yeah, not
entirely.
Not entirely,
yeah,
but
on
like,
and off.
Yeah, I practice fencing. I go outside once in a while, but
Right.
I would imagine, when he gets here, that might be what I'm doing. So,
Okay.
do I hear her yell for me in the cellar?
She knows you're down there probably.
Oh, so she's like opens the basement
Yeah, she
door.
looks down in the cellar. She's like,
her
Robbie,
name?
your
What's her
bodyguard's
name?
here. Her name's Matilda.
Matilda.
Yeah.
Matilda, the meatloaf.
Matilda!
I want it now. I'm hungry.
Yes,
Oh,
of course, Master Ravi. You should come upstairs and meet your
Oh,
meet your
right.
guard here.
Yeah, I'll be up there. I'll come up there. I'll grab, I think when I brought it down there, I like carry around my rapier, like my fencing thing, and
Yeah.
I'll grab it and I'll put it on.
Cool.
So it's like saying like, oh yeah, hey, what's up, man?
Orrin Orrinson at your service.
All right, you don't want to shake or anything?
Sure, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, it's cool.
Nice to meet you.
We're gonna be partners here. I appreciate the escort, but my dad just wants me to be safe. So, but yeah, man, we can pal around and you don't have to be all stiff. and
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm trying
Are
not
you
to like
cool,
bump
bro?
into anything. I'm like in the
cool?
corner, like trying not to like bump into anything.
Right.
I feel very out of place right now.
Yeah.
I can tell. It's cool, man. It's cool. You can have a seat. Matilda will get you some tea or something like that. Do I know if like I guess I don't know how much clout do I have in my own house?
I mean, like, yeah, you have the run of the place. Matilda's a good friend of yours, and like,
Is it two? So is this the first day between the 3 days that we have?
yes, this is the beginning of the first day of 3.
Cool. Well, yeah, just go ahead, sit, tell Matilda whatever you want, and then I'll have one of our other butlers to get your room ready. You can stay here for these 2 days before we get to.
I can
to the
stay
boat.
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. Right.
That works. That works
Cool.
for me.
I'm glad that works for you. You
and
don't want to
just-
stay in town. It's a nightmare down there, man.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a hustle, bustle. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, this works better than the other accommodations I was considering.
That's good.
And I just tell Matilda what I want to eat. I'm just
Yeah.
going to list off a lot.
Yeah, a couple of pork
we got some
loins and
donuts,
some
and-
donuts, a cupcake, maybe like I don't know, maybe.
Oh,
like
bro, what's a cupcake? I want one of those.
Oh, a cupcake.
It's the biggest cake
Matilda,
I've
do you
ever
know
had.
what those are?
Yes. Great. So you guys are off eating food and having a grand old time. So we'll come back to what's going on in the kitchen.
Tell me about your longsword. And then continue.
Right. Cut to.
Yeah.
The other sort of beyond these bluffs that have these grand estates on one side of the port, on the other side is the most dominating feature is a tall spiraled temple with 5 spires around a central pentagonal chamber, sort of large cathedral-looking building that you know to be the Temple of Vortor in Jorva, and it is sort of the seat of religious power and sort of where all the
For the nation or for
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 this
Jorva?
town.
Okay,
for,
cool.
For
Gotcha.
for Jorva itself. There is an even bigger temple in the city of in Zarian City, the capital of the empire,
Okay.
essentially. But this Jorva being one of the larger towns, and it's in Zarian, which is sort of the premier city-state in the empire. That like it's pretty built up.
But it's
and-
not the church.
Yeah, it is not like it is not the central seat of power,
Right,
but
right,
it is certainly a domineering factor in the skyline, and it is probably one of the bigger ones that you've ever seen. You've been around a little bit. But it's
Yeah, I
still
mean, I've
probably-
definitely traveled, but like certainly to like smaller, more podunk regions. So
Mhm.
like, I think I'm pretty excited to come check out this church.
Yeah, and it is immaculate. It is quite breathtaking in this really sort of picturesque sort of city that surrounds a bay, and it is a beautiful gold and blue mostly with gold accent sort of roofed building made of austere marble and stone, and it's just pretty gorgeous. And you sort of make the pentagon sign as you come in.
Is that the sign of?
There's a religious, like a pentagon sort of crossing yourself type situation. It's one of the symbols of the Church of Vortor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sure, however it works. That's totally cool. Great. And you walk in, and it is it's middle of the day, probably at this point, like on towards maybe the midday meal is getting on. So there's you see some folks in the religious order sort of bustling about, and you see a sort of in the central chapel, the big cathedral, there is sort of almost holding court. He's sitting up on the dais, surrounded by his retinue, is Ecclesiarch Morton, who has been in your his full name is, I forget, but Ecclesiarch Morton is there with a bunch of other people, and you see some of the same people that were with him, his attendants and various people. Some there's a sort of a cloistered sisterhood that is a part of the church. So a few of those attendants are running about, and various priests and scholars and people who carry the religious texts in a big wagon whenever he goes somewhere, because maybe he has to do some research or preaching or something. And you also notice a towering figure, a very long, probably 7 feet tall, a winged dragon-like guy in shining gold armor. He's like gold of skin, and he's sort of kneeling with his giant sword, and he's sort of kneeling in front of the Ecclesiarch, and he's sort of being blessed. It looks like they're in the middle of a blessing ceremony.
I go interrupt. No, I very
what the is going on here?
I push the big dragon dude out of the way.
Yeah.
No, I just patiently go sit down, off the end of a row, and just wait my turn for everything to
breathe through the hands.
Yes. So you would recognize this guy as a paladin of the chosen of Vortor. This is an elite group of knights that work for the church, that do the church's bidding, and they are primarily all Dragonborn. They are all like half dragon men and women. Let's not. Hey, you know what? Thanks for catching me on that, guys. But so the chosen of Vortor are sort of a religious paladin order that is for the best of the best of the soldiers of the church, and they are like generally ordained with awesome, crazy missions, and they're very rare to see a true like Dragonborn paladin of
sure.
Vortor.
I am assuming I've never seen.
You've probably
one
never
before.
seen one.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Sweet.
But you know about him, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, they're like
They're real.
oh my god, they're real.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like I'm assuming like I've read about, like I'm seeing a lot of things that I've read about.
Yeah,
Like it probably feels surreal.
Oh.
And you're still how is Julius feeling about some of the things he's been reading about lately? As
Well,
yeah, I'm curious.
I mean, at this point, like I'm just trying. So my thought is, I made it all the way through that book once, but it's like very esoteric, and so it starts with like this weird sort of like narrative fairy tale, and then it just goes into like these really random vignettes that have like no real coherence, but it's just like, I don't know, like sort of the writings of a madman. But then in the back of the book and like throughout it, like I've noticed some marginalia from my mom. And so like there's notes and stuff. And so like, because that's the easiest for me to like access right now, that's kind of where I've been spending my time, is just like going through those notes, I guess, and like, oh, how to identify others who sort of believe about this, and
Mhm.
like I am loosely familiar, right? Like the Meeting of Mulcahy, so like the lore of the church, right? Like I know that these are like the sanctioned holy scrolls.
Yeah, the 5 scrolls, the Book of Vortor, like this is all
Yeah.
writ of the church that normally.
But I also know like 1500 years ago, was it 2000 years ago? Like there was that meeting of Mulcahy
it was about 1500 years ago.
where they decided like, hey, these 5 scrolls are in, but these 5 scrolls are out.
Mm-hmm.
And so like mom just handed me her copy of one of the scrolls that was out. And like there's just a lot to chew on, man.
It's been a lot of interesting things in there, I'm sure.
And also there's like paladins and like this crazy big cathedral, and I'm going to Elfland, and so it's just a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
One step at a time.
Yes. So this ceremony sort of finishes up, and you see the large dragon man rise, and sort of he makes the sign of the pentagon of the 5 pillars of the church, and
We would do pockets and pits. Up there he sits. That's if you need to remember.
That's how I remember.
That's
it
how
too.
we would do it in school.
Pockets and pits up there he sits.
Thanks,
Yeah. That's good.
Nice.
That's good. You see it.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Man.
It's-
I like that. Word.
Yeah.
Oh,
Don't say it
that's-
out loud.
Yeah.
You get in trouble for that.
Yeah. You can. Chin, 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 chin. I don't know how you.
He
would do
says
that.
it out loud.
Sort of
yeah,
like crossing
I-
himself.
It's the only way I
Yeah.
can remember it.
No,
Yeah.
I get it, man. I get it. I get confused too.
So you see Ecclesiarch Morton sort of notices you, and he says, yes, young Julius, come join us, please. I would like to introduce you to our friend Draeghar here."
Oh, yes, of course.
Yes.
And so, like this point, like put on my happy church face, like, oh my God, it's a Dragonborn, it's Dragon Man Paladin. Oh, that's very pleased to meet you. May the light of the Vortor shine.
He goes, "Yes, praise him." And he's introduced himself as, "I am Draeghar Norixius, and I am to join you on your journey across the sea.
Whoa, is it just you and me?
There will be others, but I am to serve as protectorate of this envoy." And he sort of holds out this really like scaly clawed hand and kind of like tries to shake your hand, but
Yeah,
it's a little like, like shaking a child's hand for him. He's like, "Oh, yes, oh."
Sure.
Yeah. So he says, he says, he says, "I was just finishing up with the Ecclesiarch here, and he has told me of your family and their great deeds, and I am honored to be joining you."
Oh, well, that goes both ways, Mr. Draeghar. You're the first paladin I've ever met, so I might need a moment or two.
"Well, those of my order are not seen unless there is an urgent or a task of great import to take on. And parlaying with the elves and talking with them of the light of Vortor could be no greater task to be undertook."
I understand. We got to convert the heathens, like give them a little like.
He kind of makes this very weird grumbly noise that it takes you a second to realize he's laughing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but he's like,
oh, I hope it
Yeah,
landed.
he's like, yeah, he's sort of like, it's very weird for a dragon man to laugh. So
Sure.
he's like,
Sure.
it kind of takes you a second, but you're like, oh yeah, he liked that. That
Oh,
was
okay,
funny.
cool.
He goes, "Hi, yes, those elven heathens, as you say, would be best persuaded to come into the light of their own accord, I think.
Wise words.
But we will have much to speak of on the journey.
I look
am
forward to
sure.
it.
Yes. So he sort of goes around, and Ecclesiarch Morton he's just soaking this up. He's like, this man is probably 140. Like he's super old and ancient, and this is like the most spry you've ever seen him.
Sure.
He's just over the moon, excited about doing all of this, like, rubbing elbows and like sending out this big, what he sort of is considering like a crusade almost, but like non-violent, I would imagine, but a deep journey. He is like, the fact that he lived to see this is like, he's
Sure.
overjoyed by it. So Ecclesiarch Morton says, He says, well, yes, of course. If you you will of course be staying with us here at the temple, unless you have made other
No, that would be
arrangements.
delightful.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course. We will prepare you for your journey. Answer any questions you may have. You have the letter I gave you at your
I do.
house. Yes, of course. Good. Draeghar here has one. A couple of his guards will be coming to keep an eye on the flock, perhaps, and they are also good, stout-hearted witnesses of the light of Vortor themselves. They can be of great service to you in your journey, and should anything untoward happen, we don't know exactly who else is going on this journey. We've been given the list of people on the ship. It has a special name, and I've forgotten it. Pardon me, I'm
Of course,
very
you're quite old.
Yes, quite old. Indeed. But we should not be needing of his more blunt forces, I would think, on this journey. We should be going as peace givers and keepers of the light, not as conquerors, nor as belligerent religious fanatics as some might have you believe we are, but you and I, of course, know that the light of Vortor shines upon all equally.
Of course.
Yes, bless him, praise him. Yes. Julius, may I ask, what perhaps are you hoping to gain out of taking on this mission?
Oh. Well, I mean, it's just an honor. You chose me for this mission, so
I
this
did,
is all
and you are being the dutiful son by going across the ocean, but
quite a
I'm more
surprise.
interested in your soul, my friend, my young friend. What can Vortor strengthen within you through this type of mission? What do you think?
Well, there's some answers that I might like that perhaps I'll find over off the continent, or at least in the journey itself. I've been put through my paces in a lot of different ways, but none of the family traits have really taken. But I've been kind of a mystery. We've talked about this. Like, I'm sure my father's talked to you about this. So any bit of clarity around that would be a true blessing.
Ah, yes. Well, your father and I do go far back in our days together. We were once young missionaries like you and your brothers and sisters, and your father a bit younger than I, should I say. He starts coughing. Like old man cough, you know what I mean? And
I do.
Dragonborn like his.
Yeah, exactly.
we're like, he's like, oh my lord, yes, here you are, Ecclesiarch, here, have a tissue. He pulls out a hanky. It's got like a hot female Dragonborn sewn into it, like a little pinup.
Oh.
And he hands it to him.
What's up, Draeghar? All right, we can talk later.
He said, and he says, and the Ecclesiarch is like, I apologize, I digress, but I feel your questions will be answered in Vortor's time, of course, as he sees fit. But I want you to be a good steward of the gifts that Vortor has given you. I know your mother and your father very, very well, and I know that they have. You are special, Julius. You are touched by Vortor, and I wish all the protection that I can offer you in his light.
It's kind of you to say those things. We'll see. I have my doubts, but I appreciate that.
You will be. There is no one finer that we could be sending on this journey to lead the Church of the Envoy. You, of course, will have your scholars with you, several scholars and minor priests and things of that nature, but you are truly, and of course, Draeghar and his guardians as well, looking out for your well-being, but you are really our choice for the person to talk to the elves and see what Vortor's light can do for them. So,
I will go in service.
He's sitting there, and you can see he's falling asleep in mid sentence, and he's
good.
like with his eyes open, just snoring. Just
Okay, well then I'll just wait there awkwardly.
oh yes, and blessings of the five scrolls
Sure.
upon you,
Sure.
Vortor. Young Julius, and he daughters off, and Draeghar says, "Well, as the old man's gone, we feast." And he grabs you, and he like takes you out of the temple.
Oh, sweet.
And you and him, he takes you to 4 or 5 different taverns.
Oh, wow.
This guy likes to party,
Oh,
and
this
and
is
he
a
is like,
different side that I was expecting.
yeah, he's
Okay.
like sort of like, just boisterous, and like you see a couple of other like dragon guys, a couple of like humans, and there's a dwarf with you too. Like they're all sort of clad in this various levels of this blue and gold armor.
Okay.
And they're sort of like his retinue, and
Yeah.
he's like grabbed you and taken you under his wing, literally.
Awesome.
And yeah, you guys
I'm
have
here for
an
it. All right,
awesome
sold.
time out on the town. It's like, on to probably like late afternoon at this point, but you guys are
Great.
like already hitting the bars and,
Oh, okay.
and partying.
All right.
You're not
This-
given much of a choice in this,
No,
but like,
this is way cooler
these
than I
guys are
was
having-
anticipating.
yeah, these guys are like kind of a raucous crowd.
Yeah,
It's kind of crazy.
Huh. Not what I was expecting, but I'm here for it.
we feast.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
And yeah, so you carry on into the evening, and
All right.
if there's anything else you want to do, you will end up back at the temple
no.
at some point, probably early in the morning when they're finally ready for bed.
Yeah, great. No, I am along for this ride, starting right now.
Fantastic.
Yeah, after Grandpa went to bed and was like, "Okay, here's your job," and then we go get hammered, and we're gonna go minister to some elves. Let's do this.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so back at the manor with Orrin and Ravi, I will get these names right eventually. Don't worry. You guys are just sitting and having kind of a sort of awkward meal at the house. It's just this big house. Like this manor was made to entertain dignitaries and like hordes and hordes of people, and there's just not that going on right now. There is however there will be later that evening. This is still like afternoon. This is like your midday meal that you guys are having that Matilda has made for Orrin and Ravi. But there is a large reception for a lot of the visiting dignitaries that your father knows, because there's people from all over the empire coming to Jorva. So it's sort of your dad being sort of one of the lead noblemen in the town and having a lot of political connections. Through both the Citadel Arcanum and the wizarding world of the sorry, I don't know if that's copywritten, but and the wizarding community at large, and also through the political arm of the church, sort of has a lot of various connections. So there's a
here?
big it's at your house.
Oh.
So like you see a lot of so Matilda is sort of like the family's caregiver and maid, and so she sort of takes care of the family, but you see a ton of other servants who you normally don't see around the house all that much, but they're like setting up the ballroom. There's a huge reception hall and a feasting the table, so you guys are sort of off into one of the side kitchens, like having food with Matilda in like probably a place your dad would never want to be caught dead eating in.
Gotcha.
Like he probably does. Like when your family, you probably have a small dining room that you sometimes go to, but because it's not
the big one.
your family, your dad's not a completely absent dad or anything. He's just
no.
like he's just very busy, and he's sort of maybe a little bit pompous just because of
little
years
vain.
of his little vain.
Yeah.
He's a lot about who he knows and stuff. So
All
your
about the
your dad's
show.
going to be there that evening.
All about the show.
Yeah, so this is a very different party than Julius is having, but this is a pretty cool
We're
party.
gonna wine and dine. But, like,
Yeah, so you
with
see,
with our pinkies
He's out. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm throwing up in the bushes outside.
yeah, so this is the so this is sort of the dignitary reception party, and so Orrin, you are not terribly comfortable as the sun starts to set and this party is starting to happen.
So before that, I would say, so I guess Yeah, Dad's having a lot of political guys. This whole elven ship thing coming in. He's having everybody coming into town, have a big party. That's why all the people are coming in and stuff. But before the party, I usually like to practice my fencing. Are you game?
Yeah, like as we start talking about swords a little bit and learning,
Yeah,
like
try to get him out of his shell.
yeah, I'd be down. I'd be interested to
Get
show
him
you my
something
sword. You want to
comfortable.
spar?
Yeah,
Totally. Let's
something
do
comfortable. Just so I see, so you can see how heavy I hit, so we can kind of get a gauge of our strengths and get each other better.
it. Sounds good. I don't know that I'd be so super familiar with like the type of fencing like rapier.
Yeah.
I would definitely just want to spar with my longsword.
Yeah.
Is that?
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
That's totally fine.
All right. And you said like elf. What did you say? Like, what was that?
What's that?
You said like to
That's with
go
big
to the elf ship.
Yeah, the big elf ship in town. He's bringing everybody in from like around the city state.
That was an elf ship.
Yeah, that's where we're going on.
That's what?
Like at that point, just like stab.
Have you been briefed at all?
Well, I'm sorry. Like, what?
We're going to the Elf Kingdom. We're not going on that ship. There's a whole convoy following that ship to go to the Elf Kingdom.
That's what we're doing. That's what I've been
That's what
sent
we're
to
doing.
protect you for.
That's what we're doing.
All right. Okay. Yeah, no,
Nice. I knew that.
Yeah, I'm
Cool.
like looking at the letter again, and like Inara.
Nara,
Oh, okay.
you didn't ask a lot of questions, did you?
I do what I'm told.
Fair enough. What do you know about psionics? Cool.
Sweet. Let's go.
Swords it is.
Flurry of-
Yeah, let's spar. I definitely would be a little bit more comfortable hanging out and talking with you. I think if anybody else is in the room, I'm trying to like act more dignified and like on duty. But
Okay.
I'm kind of loosening up a little bit.
Nice.
Sounds good. Yeah, you could just follow me around during the party. We'll be all right.
Is it okay if I wear? This is all I have.
We'll get someone to clean you up a little bit.
It's okay.
Yeah. Is prestidigitation a thing in this game? Yeah, it is. I'm gonna say it is.
It is now.
Yeah. So you're able to. You ask Matilda to come in and say, "Can you do something about that?"
Yeah. Just clean him up a little bit from his travels. I think the armor looks nice, but just, buff it up a little bit.
Yeah. She sort of waves her hand a little bit, and suddenly your armor is a little shinier. Your
Nice work, Matilda.
your hair is combed. And it's sort of pulled back in a ponytail, but it's
Yeah,
a bit
yeah.
unkempt, frayed at the
I was
ends.
about to if it wasn't. I
from
was about to
travel.
pull the hair back into.
Yeah. So you look just a little more polished, a little more spit shine on you, and
Pretty fancy trick you got.
so, we have the what is your dad's name? I forget. The master of the house. He tells us all a couple of little tricks here and there.
I don't know if we gave him a name.
I don't know if we gave him a name. I keep forgetting to write down your last
Dad.
name. Dad.
Pops. I call him Pops.
And it's
He doesn't like it.
what is your last name?
Otmar.
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 Pops
Otmar.
Otmar.
Pops Otmar.
We'll give him a name at some point, and he will have a name in the wiki.
Yeah, I didn't.
He'll have a name in the wiki. It'll be
Pops. He has a name. It's fine.
fine. Pops Otmar. Welcome to the Pops Otmar Library.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on in.
The East Wing or the West Wing.
Yes. So this party that happens, this reception, really, it's a little more formal than that. Your father shows up to get prepared for the party. You guys are still sparring down in the gymnasium in this house, because this house has a gymnasium.
How is that looking? How am I faring against Ravi here?
Let's
Can we make a
roll.
couple?
Yeah, let's roll some checks. Make me an athletics check. You can do
I'm gonna do
acrobatics or
I'm
athletics.
doing athletics too,
Okay, great.
because I'm jock boy. I'm a jock wizard.
D20 at this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And what?
Roll me. Let's say we did 3 rounds of sparring, and we'll see how it goes. So roll me three checks in order.
Not great.
This is good. I mean, he's your bodyguard. This is how it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
19. I mean, if you had a better, you can
Eight.
a bigger sword. I'm not sure that this is the right type of. Like a bigger sword is probably better.
No, I'll be good. I'll be all right.
Okay.
I'll be all right.
Okay.
All right, let's
keep
try
going.
again. Round two.
Round two. We can do this good. We can do this all night. Oh, yeah, there we go. So now I'm a little bit more nimble.
17.
Dirty 20.
Ooh.
I mean, it's a nice dance. I don't know if it's practical, but I
right.
guess.
All
I get it.
you
Hold
move
on.
quick.
Hold
You're
on.
like-
I'm
you're
gonna like loosen up a few.
You're more with the practical. I'm more with the finesse.
I
That's
see.
okay.
Okay.
We
She's
can
like-
learn something from
Matilda's
each other.
just
It
like,
was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matilda passes through with like, fresh towels and stuff. And she's just like, I just cleaned him up. It's all
Another
sweaty.
one of those
You're like
lemon
sweating
waters.
through. Your hair's like frayed again, coming out of your ponytail.
All right, well, 1-1. This is it. Touche.
Please be a
tell
one.
the best stories.
What was that?
Natural one.
Natural one.
14.
Fantastic. So
So I feel like you might have done like a heavy swing and like I just like sidestepped you like off balance and I just kind of like whack you on the back.
oh, exactly. You've seen this move 100 times with the guys who just
Bigger
come
guys than me.
swinging in heavy, and you just sidestep it, and almost like a dancer, he just like magically does this twirl, and suddenly he's got you like in a supinated guard, and right at your throat. You're on the ground, like.
Why do you
How
need a
did this even
bodyguard?
happen?
I don't know. Ask my father. And I reach out and like grab his hand to help him
Yeah.
up.
Okay.
Yeah. So then cut
Why do you
to
need a
cut to later that evening, and the party guests have arrived.
Yeah.
You guys have been hanging out, making the rounds. You've been saying hi. There's a lot of professors and other wizard scholars at this that you know from the Citadel that are
Did I
saying
pick anyone's brain about psionics? Just about what people know
at this party.
Yeah. Just
Yeah,
little
if you
bits
want
and
to,
pieces of
there's a few of your professors and teachers, and all of whom are sort of probably a little less formal with you than they
Right,
should
yeah.
be
Yeah,
because because of who your dad is, and like
Fair.
sort of and
It's like
you
seeing
are
a
the favorite,
teacher and a
right?
student seeing them at a party.
Yeah, you're like
Yeah,
you're like the star pupil, and so there's a lot of like the teachers take a shine to you very easily, and
Gotcha.
that's never really been a problem for you. You're naturally charming, and you've just always been a
Plus
very
foreign
disarming
influence,
presence.
baby.
Yeah.
If there's anybody remotely from the town I'm from, if there's any like sigil of para or anything like that, I would probably be trying to avoid them or just keep my
Sure, yeah, there's
head
definitely
low.
some folks from Para, mostly like merchants and folk, not like any guards or anything that you'd have to worry about, people who might know you, and you don't see anybody from Larian's kind of a smaller border town, so people, the larger cities in Para are not near Larian, so these people are probably like dignitaries, probably maybe a handful of people here at this party out of the 50 to 100 that are here are actually going on the trip. Most people are just there to be seen and to see the elven delegation and all that stuff. Speaking of, right at that moment, the one of the servants announces the Orrin delegation has arrived, and you see walking in from there's sort of the entrance to the ballroom is above, and then the main floor is down a floor in sort of sunk down, so you have to come down a grand staircase into the ballroom from the main entry hall in your house, and you see a tall, slender male figure and a tall, slender female figure in elaborate. The woman is dressed in an elaborate ball gown, like picture Marie Antoinette, like just huge bustles on the side, like Catherine the Great, just like a queen in regality. But you do notice these long, pointy ears sticking out from under this large sort of beehive of a giant wig that she has on, but it's covered in flora, and even what looks like some birds or something are like sitting in this like picturesque green wig that is sort of, it looks like a tree or a bush of a flower, like it is clearly styled to look like. Yeah, and so the man has a very like long, sort of waistcoat on, and this very beautiful curved elven blade at his side, and a large. He also has kind of a pompadour wig with some curled, like white powdered wig sort of style, but it's in a just the most audacious, like sky blue, like just the craziest color blue, vivid and like glowing. And these people look very out of place. Your attire is not like this at all. This is like what people wore in history books. Like it'd be like someone showing up to a Halloween, like a Christmas party dressed as George Washington or something, right?
Yeah.
In modern like attire. So, so these folks make their way down, and you can see they look a little uncomfortable. They look a little like sort of like as uncomfortable as an elf can look. They move with an unnatural grace. They are like coasting down the stairs, but they just have something slightly a little stiff in their walk, and they are just a little bit like they're nodding and curtsying slightly, and they make their way up to the party, and there's a table off to the side of the ballroom, and they meet your father. You see your father from across the room, introduce himself. He bows very low, and yeah, they sort of sit down and look around, and they sort of take everything in. And
Those are real elves.
yeah, this is pretty crazy. And for a while, they don't really do much. There's there's a line of dignitaries now forming in front of them, so they've spend the next, 30, 45 minutes, maybe an hour, saying hello to everybody. And it's very odd and courtly and very weird. And these people are, until your father comes and finds you, and you're right there as well. And he ushers you up to the front, and he says, "Oh, you must be the guard. Yes, come with me." Yes.
As he approaches, I'm like, watch this.
He says, "Ravi, you must meet the Elven delegation. We have to go up and say, we must introduce you so they know who you
Happs?
are." Yes,
Oh,
yes. I'm sorry. I
You'll be all right.
You're right.
We can
You're
do
right.
this.
But they,
I'm following you.
yes, and they know of psionics. They've told me this as well. This is a lost magics that could really do wonders for our continent, for the empire, for the church. It would be. I don't need to tell you what the implications might be if psionics were a more formal art. But come.
Absolutely.
And so you see the female elf sort of sits upright as you walk up, and sort of she, more so than she's been whispering things back and forth, being very polite and very nice. And she says,
I'll greet them just as everybody else is greeting.
yeah. And she said, and your father says, Your Eminence, may I present my son, one of the most promising wizards here in the Vortorian Empire, and a star pupil at the Citadel Arcanum, our center of magic and educated learning, Ravi Otmar, my protege and son. And she gets this look on her face, and she's taken aback, and she reaches out her hand for you to take it, and you take her hand?
Yeah.
Yes, and she immediately pulls you in close, and she says, "Ravi, I am Anara. You are in grave danger." And that's where we'll end this week's episode of peakdnd Campaign 3. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next time.